know where they're baiting now. Oh, wow. Yeah. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Today we'll be checking out Virizion in the Open Ultra League. Virizion has always had really good stats and charge moves in Stone Edge, Sacred Sword, Leaf Blade and Close Combat, but it never had a good fast move to go along with that. Until now, because in Season 12 they've now added Double Kick to its move pool, which gives it a very quick energy gaining fast move, so it can utilize those charge moves to the fullest potential. And this has launched Virizion all the way up to number 3 in the Open Ultra League PvPoke rankings. So it's definitely very good. I'll be trying it out today in this team with Shadow Drapion lead and Giratina as a pivot, which kinda sorta cover for Virizion's weaknesses. Not entirely. I found it extremely hard to build a balanced team around Virizion because it's quite weak to some very common meta picks like Nidoqueen, Trevenant, Talonflame to a lesser extent, Cresselia, Giratina, Alolan Ninetales, other Charmers. They all kind of destroy Virizion, and they're very hard to cover for with just 2 Pokemon. This team, for example, is quite weak to Nidoqueen, and also like fighters like Boswell in the lead could be quite a problem as well. But overall, besides that, this team will do great, and it did do pretty good. So let's just get into these battles. Oh, but before that, the moveset, I'm running Double Kick, Sacred Sword, and Stone Edge instead of Leaf Blade, which is what PvPoke recommends. That's definitely a very good moveset too, especially versus the water types, of course. But for the most common water, Swampert, it's not necessary, and I like having Stone Edge to nuke Talonflame and potentially Alolan Ninetales too. Drapion into Talonflame, this is pretty okay. A Talonflame generally wins this, especially if they hit a Brave Bird, but you know, it's not aligned to Virizion, which is pretty good. Gonna go for a crunch here at 7 poison stings right before they can get to the bird, bring it deep into the yellow. I'm gonna no-shield this move. Most Talonflames are like flame charging, and then I can just grab another shield with my Drapion, but they actually decided to switch to the Gradient. If they would have Brave Birded there, they would have still been fine with me, because then I could have farmed down with Giratina most likely, get a bunch of energy on there, which is quite huge. They're gonna go for the Body Slam. Does nothing against Virizion. Virizion is so freaking tanky. They're gonna throw another one. I don't really care. It doesn't really do that much. Sacred Sword coming through. That's the thing though. Virizion is very tanky, which means it doesn't take much damage. It also doesn't do too much damage. Look at that Sacred Sword. Didn't do that much versus the Gradient, sadly. But, you know, enough to where another one will knock out. I want to get out of this matchup with a Stone Edge loaded for the Talonflame. So actually gonna allow another Body Slam to go through. I could have probably... Oh my, they actually switched out of the ball right. I could have probably just thrown earlier and then done a couple double kicks to get to the Stone Edge versus Talonflame, but then it would have probably outpaced me. So that's why I wanted to have it ready already, because I did want to get a shield down there versus Talonflame. Anyway, they didn't end up doing that, so they brought in the Walrein. At this point, we're looking quite good. I just double crunch this. If they shield this, my Giratina is gonna sweep. If they don't shield this, my Giratina is gonna sweep. We have Giratina against Talonflame now. They know it's over. They concede the match. GG's. Trevenant. This is an amazing lead. Exactly where I want to see it. In comes a Talonflame now. I bring in Giratina. This is where Ancient Power comes in clutch. It's not just this matchup, by the way, where Ancient Power can come in clutch. I mainly have it for Alolan Ninetales. The way this team kind of functions is you have Drapion as your anti-Charmer. If you don't see a Charmer generally, you kind of gonna want to save your Drapion with a Sludge Bomb for the end game. But you switch to Giratina, and Giratina with 2 Shadow Claws advantage can actually beat Alolan Ninetales in the 1 shield scenario. Just straight Ancient Power. It's ridiculous. The Ancient Power buff definitely benefited this Giratina a ton. But yeah, unfortunately I didn't have that situation at all during my sets. I would have really loved to see that, but yeah, we're not going to see that today. What we are going to see though is Virizion versus Stunfisk, and Virizion just hard walls Stunfisk, so that's game over. GG's. Trevenant Lead, beautiful for me, and they bring in a Galvantula, which is amazing for Giratina. I absolutely wall this thing. All they can do is throw lunges here, which are double resisted. I guess they could technically go for Discharge too, which is only single resisted. Actually, no, lunge is also single resisted. For some reason, I thought that bug was resisted by Dragon there for a second, but it is not. It's only single resisted, so lunge is definitely the way to go. Because whilst it does do slightly less damage than Discharge, because it's just a less strong move, you do get the debuff, which is kind of huge. I don't want to get debuffed again, so go for the Dragon Claw. I also got the boost there on the Asian Power, by the way, which means I'm now only 1 stage debuffed instead of 2, which is very huge against this Trevenant. Now I actually have a lot of play against this thing, even though I'm debuffed. And, you know, even if I didn't, I still have Drapion to Wallet. I just gotta hope that whatever is in the back is weak against Virizion. One thing that's very common with Trevenant, though, is Nidoqueen. Like, very, very commonly, that's what you see paired with it. And that's a problem for the rest of my Pokemon, and it is the Queen coming in. I cannot bring in Virizion here, because Virizion just got completely eaten alive. And Drapion actually has a good amount of play here, since you are resisting the poison moves. And they have to throw a big Earth Power to knock you out, which, if you shield that, that's quite devastating for them. I'm gonna throw a Crunch here. I actually got the debuff on the first Crunch as well, which is quite huge, means the second one will knock out. Gonna shield this up, hoping the Earth Power, and they do Earth Power. That is quite so lucky for me. If they Poison Fang Beta there, that would have been quite bad, but luckily they didn't. I get to another Crunch now. At this point, I'm gonna shield. They could Poison Fang me now, but fine with that. Shielding, they throw the Poison Fang. I catch the Earth Power. Oh my Giratina now, they have built so much energy that I needed to switch there. Caught the Earth Power, and now we are looking pretty good. They still have a catch left in the back, but you know, I'm not too worried. Even if they would have caught that Crunch, I would have been able to still reach one against the Nidoqueen, so not too bad. They bring in the Trevenant. They're gonna Shadow Ball me, which might almost knock me out, but like, we Poison Sting down. Oh, we don't Poison Sting down, but at least Virizion will see some more play. Hopefully this is Shadow Ball. Kind of want to see how much a Shadow Ball does. Oh, Seed Bomb. But yeah, we double click down. GG's. Drapion into Swampert. This is real bad. I bring in my Giratina. They stay in for a little bit, then try to catch a move, and it's a Steelix in the back. And this is a really, really rough and boring matchup. This is where you would want Shadow Sneak, I guess, for the neutral damage, but it wouldn't really change much. Steelix is basically the hardest wall to this thing. I think they're gonna just Psychic Fangs me once here, and then Volley Farm me down. Right? I think this is Psychic Fangs. Oh, they crunch actually. Yeah, they crunched. And now they're gonna farm me down. I'm just gonna speed this up because I'm throwing so many charge moves into this thing. They're basically at 100 energy off this matchup. I'm assuming it's Psychic Fangs Crunch, so I don't bring in my Virizion because I don't want to get Psychic Fangs to hack. If they would have Earthquake me, so be it. So be it. But I was calling no Earthquake, and luckily it wasn't. They Psychic Fangs me twice here. They still have quite a bit of energy. I want them to throw that into my Drapion before I switch into Virizion, because I don't want to get... I don't want to get Psychic Fangs there, because then my defense is dropped, and that's not ideal. I still need my Virizion to take out their Swampert. This is a Crunch. Now in range where I can double click down, so bring it in. And in comes the Talonflame. We are hard countered all the way here, but we still have Stone Edge. I throw it first because I'm not sure if my opponents are aware what moveset this thing has, and they actually shield it, which is kind of bad. But if I now get a bait off onto this Talonflame, I should be fine to get to another Stone Edge. We throw the Sacred Sword. Do they call the bait? They do, and we lose the game. GG trainer. Yeah, I'm playing this out, but this is over. Drapion versus Muk, the battle of the dark poisons. I am honestly not sure who wins here. I have much more charge move pressure. They have more fast move pressure. I would assume 0 shields, I win this. 2 shields, they win this. But we're not gonna figure out. They bring in a fighter. I bring in Giratina. First Night Slash, I never have to shield. But they boost, which is just so bad. It's just so bad. At this point, I'm also realizing that Virizion might have been a better swap. Most Surf Edge run Night Slash Leaf Blade, and Virizion walls that moveset. Every single move is resisted. Well, not counter, of course, but it's manageable. We should be able to win that matchup as Virizion quite nicely. However, if they pack Brave Bird, that's a bigger issue. So honestly, I would still recommend you switching Giratina, because if they don't get the boost, you just win that. You just win that without having to use a shield, but because they boosted, I had to use a shield there, which is quite yikes. Now I'm a shield down. And I just hope that my Drapion Virizion combination can knock out whatever is in the back, but it's a Machamp, and that is kind of tough. Because they're shield up now. If we were even shield here, I would have probably been fine, since I barely outpaced Machamp 2 moves. I get to my moves, my Sacred Swords in 9 turns, they get to their cross drops in 10. So I would outpace him here. But yeah, now that we don't have that shield, this is looking quite bad. I go for a Sacred Sword here. Do I survive a counter or two to get to the next? No, I die with it. And at this point, they're basically at 2 moves here. I'm going to shield this up. Going to go for my Crunch right away, hoping it knocks out and they'll get to another move, but it was a CMP tie. This is already a Rock Slide, by the way. They had so much energy off of that Virizion. So yeah, this is definitely game over right here. Yeah, we're going to get farmed down. Dark Pulse, GG's. Alolan Ninetales Lead. This is exactly where I want to see it, but they bring in a Como-O, which is a huge issue. I don't know what to do, so I stay in, maybe for too long, but I did build up a Sludge Bomb, which could be huge in the end. They definitely Dragon Claw me here, so I let it go. And now we're just going to start trying to build up these Sacred Swords. One Sacred Sword will definitely not knock out, but the second one should. Problem is, if they close combat me here, definitely knock me out. I'm actually going to shield this up, hoping they close combat me. If there's a Dragon Claw bait, well played by them, but it is the close combat, which is quite huge. Gonna go for the Sacred Sword here. So definitely knock them out now that they're debuffed. And I have another one loaded up, which I'm going to throw right away. But we CMP tie. This shouldn't be a close combat, though. I'm quite sure there's only a Dragon Claw. And I barely survive it. Actually, that's a decent chunk of health. If they no-shield this now, that's awesome, because then I get my Drapion against the Alolan Ninetales. If they no-shield this, or if they shield this, that's honestly maybe even better. Because what I do now is I bring in Giratina. One Sludge Bomb doesn't knock out Alolan Ninetales. So I'm actually going to throw an Ancient Power into this thing first. And then I'm going to snipe the Alolan Ninetales with a Sludge Bomb I have loaded. So I switch to Drapion now. I do one Poison Sting first, because I can fit that into a Charm, and I still shouldn't be able to switch out of this Sludge Bomb, but knock out the Ninetales right before they get the Charge move as well, by the way, and then in comes Swampert. And at this point, Drapion plus Giratina should be enough to knock out the Swampert. I go for one Crunch right here. They will outpace me to 2 moves, by the way, but my opponent actually makes a slight mistake here. Throws on the CMP tie, and that's well, they throw on the CMP tie instead of one before. If they threw one before, they would be able to knock out my Drapion there, but because they threw on the CMP tie, I'm able to get this Crunch, and this will knock out the Swamp. GG's. Giratina Lead. That is very, very solid, but they're staying in. They're staying in, and you know what often comes with a Giratina Lead? Well, not often, but regularly. Alolan Ninetales, or even 2 Charmers, which will be quite devastating for my backline. Even took that first one, which is wild. I'm going to take this Dragon Claw. I am quite afraid of a Charmer or 2 in the back, but I'm not going to shield that first one. They do shield this, though, so at this point, I will start matching shields, as I don't want my Drapion to get too low, just in case it is that Charmer in the back. I'm going to throw another Crunch. If they shield this, I will switch out. If they let this go, I will try to preserve my Drapion. They do shield it, which is wild. I bring in my Giratina, and you bring in a Cresselia. So, it's probably not a Charmer, since they would have brought that into Giratina, most likely. Cresselia, especially since I have no Shadow Sneak, is pretty good versus Giratina. The Shadow Claws just don't do enough, and Dragon Claw is not that great of a move, to be honest, in neutral situations, especially versus something as tanky as a Cresselia. Moonblast will do a decent chunk. Cresselia is just such a monster. It's kind of ridiculous, really. It's honestly the best Pokemon in the meta. It's tap product. It's bulk. It's just off the charts. It's kind of stupid. It's able to beat Giratina, even though you're doing super effective. I mean, they're also doing super effective, I guess. But even if I had Shadow Sneak there, that would not have been a win. So that's kind of wild. Gonna go for the Crunch here, though, on the CMP tie with the Cresselia, which is real nice, because a Moonblast would have definitely knocked me out, so I'm glad I didn't have to use a shield there. Going Giratina, Dragon Claw me. I'm gonna let this go. I'm not expecting a Charmer at this point, so I'm hoping that my Virizion will be able to sweep. This is where having Stone Edge is nice, since both the Leaf Blade and Sacred Sword won't do that much, but a Stone Edge from this range should be able to knock out Virizion quite tanky, so I should be able to take another Dragon Claw easily, which I do. Go for the Stone Edge on the alignment, not something I usually recommend, but I just had to get rid of this. Luckily, they didn't switch and catch that move onto the Pokemon in the back, which ends up being an Escavalier, which at this point should be fine. I'm thinking 2 Sacred Swords should knock out, but they don't. Luckily, though, Stone Edge does more damage than a Sacred Sword. Actually, from this range, a Sacred Sword probably already knocked out with the additional double kicks, but I still go for the Stone Edge, as they weren't the 2 moves yet. So, safer move, we take out the Escav, GG's. Talonflame Lead, we've seen this before. This is not too bad. We're gonna go for the Crunch after they've thrown 3, or right before they've finished their 3rd Incinerate. Let it go. Actually get the Defense Fall, which is kind of cool, but doesn't really matter with these Poisonous things. Don't really do that much more anyway. They Flame Charge. Good call. Gonna go for another Crunch right here. At this point, I could either try to go for another Crunch or switch it to Giratina at this point. But I think I just tried to go for another one. Yeah, they're forced to throw at this point to get rid of my Drapion. Otherwise, I would have gotten another Crunch. Other scenario, super fine with me. They take me out though. Bring in Giratina now. They get to the Brave Bird for 2 more Incinerates here, which this could be it. So I'm shielding it. It's double boosted, so it would bring my... I don't think it will kill my Giratina. It would bring me incredibly low. They bring in a Trevenant, which is just amazing for me. That's amazing, since, well, I really don't want my Virizion on this thing. So, super fine. Go for the Dragon Claws here. Another situation where not having Shadow Sneak is kind of detrimental. Honestly, we haven't had too many scenarios where Agent Power really helped me. So far, I've gotten my Giratina as a Trevenant and Felix, and, well, hasn't been too good, but I think Ancient Power could definitely work, especially for Talonflames, for potential Alolan Ninetales, which will definitely be coming, so I do still like Ancient Power on it. In comes Virizion, and this is just looking pretty good at this point. They can farm all they want. They're not gonna... Well, Stone Edge will not one-shot me, but that's so much energy that after that, my Virizion should be able to take me out. It's just a bunch of charge moves. We're gonna speed this up a little bit. One more Dragon Claw coming out. They throw a move here. It is a Leaf Blade. Doesn't even knock me out. I go into my own Virizion now, and look at these double kicks adding up. They're gonna be throwing Sacred Swords, which do nothing, but you're gonna be able to farm down before they can even... kill me with any amount of Sacred Swords, so GG's. Ooh, Tapu Fini, this is exactly where I want to see it, and they bring an Articuno, which is such a massive core breaker to this line. This thing absolutely destroys me. It definitely beats Giratina, definitely beats Virizion, and Drapion isn't too great either, so definitely not a Pokemon I was expecting to see. They go for the Icy Wind here. I make sure to build up to a Sludge Bomb before switching out into my Giratina, which might seem kind of wild, but I have Ancient Power on this thing, so technically it's one of my better answers. Gonna go for the Ancient Power here after farming up a bunch, which I do believe they're gonna shield. Since at this point they realize that their Articuno is super strong against whatever I have in the back, so they actually save the Articuno too. Bring in the Fini. Gonna go for the Ancient Powers here. I just need to wear out the clock and maybe even hope I get the boost. Just do some chip, bring this into a range where the Sludge Bomb would knock out. Honestly, maybe I shouldn't even be Ancient Powering, maybe Dragon Claws the way, since this extra damage is really not gonna do much for me. Unless I need to take it out with Virizion later, of course. I switched my Giratina out of there with an Ancient Power stored for the Articuno later. Sludge Bomb the Tapu Fini. At this point, the Tapu Fini has enough energy where I know that if I wanna go for another Sludge Bomb, I'm gonna have to double shield, which didn't seem worth it considering the Articuno also still has a move store. So I actually just bring in Virizion after letting my Drapion go down. They should be in Stone Edge range, so I'm fine with this. They're gonna switch out into Articuno though. I don't think Icy Wind would do that much, so I let it go. It actually hurts quite a bit, and now I underestimate Articuno, and oh my goodness, I lose the CMP. Oh, I lose the CMP, which is real bad, and I'm forced to shield up, throw my Sacred Sword too without building up much more extra energy. And this is actually gonna prove to be quite fatal. I now have to throw my Stone Edge against the Tapu Fini quite early. Well, not early, but I throw it right before they get to the surf there. Didn't want to die. I don't even take them out, so I'm forced to go. That CMP hurt me so much, because if I this is a... Dude, that boost... Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this. Okay, so if I didn't CMP tie, with my Virizion versus that Articuno. 1, I would have saved the shield. 2, that Stone Edge would have knocked out. Which would have meant I would not have needed to use that Ancient Power with my Giratina. Which I did use on the Tapu Fini. Got the boost, which by the way was bad. That I got that boost only just gave the Cobalion more energy. Which makes it much easier for them to take out my Virizion at this point, which honestly, I don't think it really mattered at the end, because my Sacred Sword would have not one-shot them, sadly. So yeah, they take the game. GG, definitely a misplay by me there at the end. Queen Lead is quite awful. Probably the worst we can see, as it generally beats both Drapion and Virizion. It definitely destroys Virizion, especially with my moveset. I don't have a neutral Leaf Blade. Drapion is playable, since if I shield an Earthquake here, I'm in a decent spot. Unfortunately, I end up shielding the Fang though. Luckily for me, I actually got the drop on the first crunch though, so the second one would knock out, and I think because of that, they feel kind of pressure to switch out to Scrafty now, since they don't want to be shooting up crunches, which this is fine with me, and I got a pretty good answer here in Virizion. 1 Sacred Sword won't knock out, but I might be able to double kick it down afterwards. Yeah, look at that. Actually doesn't do that much, but I should be able to take these power punches, no problems. These counters definitely adding up though, but I'm quite confident I should be able to farm down. Ooh, not before they get to another one, but this is only a power punch. Shouldn't knock me out. And then I have moves ready for the Nidoqueen. I think I throw a Sacred Sword like immediately, just to chip the Nidoqueen a bit. I do. And after this, I'm actually going to switch into Giratina, because I want to save my Virizion. I'm expecting another Dark type in the back. This is very common with like Obstagoon, especially since they pivoted Scrafty, which is absolute madness. I am expecting something like Obstagoon in the back. It's kind of a common line, and there it is. So I'm extremely happy I saved that Virizion energy. I'm also extremely surprised they Earth-powered my Giratina with the Nidoqueen. That's kind of a weird move, since Obstagoon just destroys Giratina. Even they don't need that chip. And what that did is, 1, they now have no more energy on their Nidoqueen, and 2, they've misaligned the switch timers, which means that after discharge moves of the Obstagoon, which I thought I'd survive cleanly by the way, but I end up surviving on 1 HP, I'm able to switch into my Virizion and start throwing moves without them being able to switch out. Gonna go for Sacred Sword. Another one that did boost their defense, but there's no way that even with boosted defense they're gonna live this. So they're shielded up again. I bring in Drapion here. I'm afraid they were gonna catch, so I didn't throw my Sludge immediately, but they don't end up catching, so I throw for 1, which they luckily also didn't catch. I go for a move here. I'm not worried. This is probably just an Obstruct, so I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let the next move go as well, actually, which might be a mistake. And I'm gonna explain why. Because the Nidoqueen emptied all its energy. It's not gonna get to the Earth power no matter what. So I might have needed to shield this, because it actually does quite a bit. And they boost too, so oh my god. Okay, they boost too, which meant I couldn't farm down anymore, since they would counter me down. So I switched to Giratina, trying to get the Ancient Power. But against 2-turn moves, you actually can't switch and throw your moves, since switching plus throwing takes 2 turns as well. So the damage applies before that, so I actually die. Maybe if they hadn't boosted, the counter would not have killed. That's actually what I was assuming, but my Giratina was too low health, sadly. But still, we take out the Obstagoon with the crunch, and now we take out the Nidoqueen with the crunch, and that is a GG. Nice 4-1 set to finish everything off. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm not sure if I entirely recommend this lineup. I do feel like Virizion is a bit of a tough Pokemon to make work. We did see it in quite a lot of good matchups today, but getting it locked into a Nidoqueen, a Trevenant, even a Talonflame, if they call the moves correctly, is quite devastating. And those are quite common Pokemon. So it's a rough one to make work, but if it does, it's definitely quite fun. Thank you, everyone. Good luck, your Battle Trainers. See ya.